may have reached your radar when it was announced that ex-Google CEO Eric Schmidt has been signed onto Chainlink's advisory team. As a coin that currently sits only at 21 on CoinMarketCap, why would the previous head of the world's most powerful tech company want to help Chainlink? Hey guys, it's David G here. This channel is about helping you increase your crypto gains. If that's something that interests you, click the subscribe button so you can stay ahead of the curve and get the latest crypto developments. So I want to first pontificate about why I think many who invest in crypto left Chainlink out of their portfolios. And I believe it's because Chainlink isn't sexy. No shade on Cardano, but using it as a counterexample, it's been around the top 5 on CoinMarketCap for a number of years now. Doesn't even have smart contracts enabled. Doesn't even have its decentralized exchange yet. But what's the catchphrase of Cardano? The tech is like Ethereum, but better. The gains are like Ethereum, but better. And the founder Charles Hoskins, the next Steve Jobs. And again, no shade to Cardano, I actually hold ADA. But I'm just trying to point out that the market isn't wholly driven by fundamentals alone. So it will truly take perhaps a decade or so to separate the wheat from the chaff. So with Chainlink going under the radar and none of your favorite crypto influencers on YouTube and Twitter shilling it, should you buy it? And will it potentially be the greatest investment you ever made? Let's find out. This is a graphic that outlines the roadmap to mainstream cryptocurrency adoption. So without needing to explain what Bitcoin is, I want to briefly touch on ETH. Ethereum allows the creation of decentralized applications, and the way these dApps will function is by the way of programmable smart contracts. Programming smart contracts is just like programming any other sequence of code. They're essentially just a sequence of if this, then that statements. If A happens, then execute B. If B happens, execute C, etc., etc. Now that the cryptocurrency market has developed into the stage of wide-scale smart contract adoption, we now come to the next major obstacle for mainstream adoption. And it's an obstacle that Chainlink has been working on for the past 4 years, and that's scaling. So reading out part 3 of this infographic, quote, okay, but for the real-world use, 80% of all smart contract use cases, we need external data inputs to trigger the contract. For example, did the package arrive? What's the cost of a barrel of oil? What was the rainfall at that location? Here's another way of putting it. Contracts exist between 2 or more parties, but in order to guarantee that the conditions of a contract are abided by, we need a third-party arbiter. This arbiter enforces the rules stipulated in the contract and is also the one who determines the external information required to determine the outcome of the contract. So smart contracts eliminate the need for this third-party arbiter, but then the question is, who is going to be the one that inputs the external data necessary to ultimately determine the outcome of the smart contract? Currently, smart contracts on their own have no ability to interact with external resources, such as data providers or API services. With the problem explained in its entirety, I can now explain what Chainlink solves. Chainlink will provide the data inputs and outputs necessary for smart contracts to function. This is increasingly becoming the underlying infrastructure of the DeFi network, a system of inputs and outputs from the real world to the blockchain. And as I mentioned, it's not sexy. Just like one of the key components of a city being its electrical grid, you're not going to see tourists in New York ogling at the city's power lines. And it's for this reason, many believe that Chainlink was far too ahead of its time. And as a result, the hype-driven bull market that has a tendency to focus more on buzzwords and social media trends left Link to the wayside. However, as we'll discuss further, Chainlink's adoption has been massive, but Chainlink's price rise was during the bear market, where still much of Chainlink's promise was just speculation. So has this so far just been a case of buy the hype, sell the news? Let's actually look at the incredible news surrounding Chainlink and what's happened to the price. So early investors that knew of these major developments from looking at the Chainlink roadmap bought low, and when the developments actually happened, they sold. I've never heard of this buffet guy before, but I suggest following his advice. Chainlink's massive pump was during the bear market, and during the crypto bull run, it spent its time going sideways in a state of price accumulation for a year or so. And that's despite the fact that many of these original promises are now being delivered on. So what has Chainlink actually done so far? Let's look at DeFi first. Chainlink has already become a key component in many DeFi projects, Aave, Compound, and Rari Capital, as well as other on-chain money markets, use Chainlink's price feeds to fetch market data for dozens of different on-chain cryptocurrencies. With this real-time pricing data, these lending/borrowing protocols can calculate the valuation of each user's collateral and debt in order to determine when liquidations should be initiated. This ensures the money market protocols are always sufficiently collateralized, protecting tens of billions of dollars in deposits. Another example is futures markets implementing Chainlink to aid in using smart contracts to help regulate their exchange. DYDX and McDEX are examples of futures exchanges that use Chainlink's oracles to dynamically set the funding rate to maintain net neutral exposure. Another example is Celsius. For those who don't know, it's a leading yield-earning platform with nearly 1 million users and $16 billion in total value. They also use Chainlink's price feeds in its backend system to determine the borrowing rates of the users when depositing collateral, helping keep the network decentralized. It's also using Chainlink's cross-chain interoperability protocol to enable the harvesting of yield across a vast array of yield farming platforms in the DeFi ecosystem. Now let's look at synthetic assets. Synthetic assets are a category of financial instruments that provide traders price exposure to specific assets, such as indices or commodities, without requiring ownership of the physical asset itself. Smart contract-based synthetic assets allow traders to create advanced non-custodial trading strategies and gain exposure to traditional assets that don't exist on the blockchain. Synthetics is an example of a protocol that uses Chainlink price feeds to enable the minting of these synthetic assets, which allow traders to gain on-chain exposure to assets like cryptocurrency, fiat currency, commodities, indices, and equities, and more. Through peer-to-peer contract trading models, users are able to swap between these synthetic tokens with zero slippage using Chainlink price feeds to access the current value of the underlying assets. Chainlink supports the adoption of something called Decentralized Stablecoins, and what that is a stablecoin backed by multiple stablecoins such as Tether, DAI, USDC, Terra USD, in order to lower the risk of loss if ever something bad were to happen to one of those stablecoins. DeFi Dollar is an example of one of these decentralized stablecoins, and it uses Chainlink's price feeds to track the price of the underlying stablecoins, and in the event that one of these tokens deviates from their one-to-one US dollar peg, a rebalance is triggered between the different stablecoin reserves in order to preserve the dollar parity with the DeFi dollar. Random number generation is the way that many rare tokenized assets will be spawned in a decentralized game. But the only way to ensure the rarity of these in-game NFTs is to have them minted in a way that doesn't allow game developers or other entities to manipulate the number generation process for their own advantage. So Chainlink has developed a feature called verifiable randomness function, which is a verifiably fair way to source random number generation. Proof can then be given that the randomness of the item was not tampered with. Prediction markets are venues where individuals bet on the outcome of specific real-world events. Due to the very nature of blockchain-based prediction markets, they are reliant on external data to settle outcomes. Chainlink provides a decentralized, tamper-resistant source of external data to trigger the settlements of prediction markets and payments to the winners. Some of the potential datasets include sporting events, political election outcomes, and cryptocurrency roadmap completions for certain projects, but ultimately encompass any type of wager as long as there are takers on both sides. Everypedia, a blockchain-based encyclopedia, recently used Chainlink to relay election results on-chain to settle prediction markets. Everypedia operates a Chainlink Oracle node and delivered cryptographically signed data from the Associated Press regarding the results of the 2020 presidential election onto the Ethereum blockchain, where it was subsequently used by on-chain prediction markets such as Yield Wars. One example of insurance I want to use for Chainlink is crop insurance. Crop insurance has long been considered an especially promising use case for smart contracts, as it provides farmers in developing countries with insurance which they otherwise would not be able to get access to or don't trust. By providing anyone with an internet connection the ability to hedge against unforeseen weather conditions, farmers all over the world are able to maintain their livelihoods without concern that one bad weather season could cause financial ruin. One example of this is Arbor, a smart contract-based weather coverage solution that uses Chainlink's oracles to fetch rainfall data from the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. This data is then used to settle parametric crop insurance contracts to provide coverage based on the amount of rainfall in the region. Then there's flight insurance. One of the earliest forms of smart contract insurance to reach production is flight insurance. Due to the range of uncontrollable variables such as weather and maintenance, flights are often delayed, leading to inconveniences for travelers. Flight insurance policies allow travelers to mitigate these opportunity costs as they pay out compensation in the event of delay. One company working on this is Etherisk. It's a decentralized insurance protocol that leverages Chainlink oracles to retrieve flight data in order to confirm whether or not a flight's been delayed. By removing the need for dispute periods, insurees are guaranteed they will immediately receive payment if their flight was delayed, and insurers are able to reduce costs by reducing the need to manually process claims. These are just a few of the major developments in Chainlink, but to summarize, Chainlink is on its way to being the core of the following: decentralized finance, external payments, NFTs, gaming and randomness generation, insurance, enterprise systems, supply chain, utilities, authorization and identity, government, sustainability, off-chain computation. Chainlink is already at the forefront of connecting the real world with the blockchain, and any industry that wants to interconnect with the blockchain will most likely do it through Chainlink, as there isn't a competitor that's even close. So why does Eric Schmidt want to be an advisor of Chainlink? If there was another tech mega monopoly that could develop out of the cryptocurrency sphere, it would be Chainlink, as all our data would be fed into Chainlink nodes to run the future decentralized ecosystems. And who else loves data-centric monopolies more than an ex-Google CEO would? As to whether or not Chainlink is a way to secure decentralization or it becomes the monster it tried to destroy, still remains to be seen. If you like this video, please make sure to subscribe. And to get the latest updates on crypto technology, trading analysis, and most importantly, the way you can increase your cryptocurrency gains, make sure to subscribe. And if you're interested in buying Chainlink, you can buy it on Binance and register an account using my special referral code in the link below, and you can get 10% all spot trading fees for life. If you already have a Binance account, then you can sign up using my Bybit link and trade it on spot and get a special offer there as well. Thanks for watching the video, guys, and I'll see you later.